RoadMaple is a service that provides flexible roadmaps and mentorships for learning tech skills. So imagine that you want to learn Python. So you go on Google and you search how to learn Python. And then this is what you see, just page after page of Python courses and tutorials. So here's the problem. There is a huge amount of online resources to learn just about any tech skill out there. But self-learning tech is still really difficult. And this is for two reasons. So at the start of your learning journey, 80% of people find it difficult to select the right resources. So they waste time vetting resources instead of actually learning, and they often run the risk of choosing unsuitable ones. And because of how overwhelming this process can be, many of them even fail to start. And during the learning process, 90% of people lack personal and career guidance. So this makes them feel demotivated in their learning process, and many of them even give up halfway. And existing solutions right now just don't cut it. Bootcamps are too expensive, and mentorships are often unstructured and they lack clear learning outcomes. So here's what youth really want in terms of learning tech. They want a wayfinder to quickly and affordably know how to learn tech, and they want personal guidance to resolve questions and clarify their learning goals. And that is exactly what RoadMaple provides with our structured mentorships and roadmaps. So how a mentorship works is that we'll pair mentees up with professionals with the relevant skills, and it's a program that will run over 3 months with a 1-hour session per month. And the objective of this is to speed up the online learning process for the mentee. And as for our roadmaps, here's a quick demo as to how it works. So let's say that you want to become a developer. So you go to our developer roadmap. Now you'll see a list of topics to learn in order to become a developer. So let's say that you've already completed the first step of setting up your code editor. So you go to the second step of learning HTML and CSS. And on the right side, you can immediately see a list of the best courses out there to learn this topic. So just pick one that you fancy, and you can start learning right away. So now there's no more search process for trying to find a good resource, and you will never run the risk of choosing an unsuitable one. And finally, here is how a mentorship program and roadmaps come together. So through our mentorship, you'll get to clarify goals, receive guidance, and be inspired by a mentor. And after each mentorship session, you can use our roadmaps as a free, credible curriculum in order to learn the skill that you're pursuing.
Right. As for our traction, well, I think we need this. Okay, as our traction, as for mentorship, we've launched actually last month, and we've gained more than 20 mentorship pairs with an engagement rate of 90%. On top of that, as for our roadmaps, we have gained more than 2,400 users in just under 4 months' time, with an NPS rate of 40%. And we have managed to establish a credible network of mentors and credible content with these amazing organizations, including Blockchain at Berkeley, SMU Eagles, and Reactor School. And NYC is on my way. And moving on, in terms of our uniqueness, we are very unique because we provide a flexibility compared to traditional bootcamps, yet at the same time being free. On top of that, we provide structured mentorship for learners to start learning tech sustainably and quickly. As our revenue model, we'll be looking at advertising and affiliate marketing for companies to advertise their products under relevant roadmaps. Also, we run mentorship programs with education institutions. And this is how much we're asking for. We're asking for $70,000 to grow RoadMaple, where 60% of it will go towards growing and developing the website, and 40% of it will go towards content and growth hacking. And we have a clear structure to actually accomplish all these milestones. And at the end of it, this is what we are expecting to impact. So we're expecting impact for 2022, 300 mentorship hours, 10,000 happy roadmap users, and an excellent NPS score of 50%. And we'll be contributing to these goals as well. In terms of SDG goals, we'll be contributing to accessible and quality education for all learners to learn tech skills, especially underprivileged kids who do not know how to start or even complete learning tech. On top of that, we'll be contributing to national agendas, such as the Smart Nation Initiative and Skills Future, as we act as a wayfinder for all learners to learn tech. And at the end of the day, the question is, why us, right? So we are all self-learners in coding. And also, we have managed to build a product right from scratch, from 0 to 1. On top of that, we have strong edtech advisors within the field that can help us scale RoadMaple to greater heights. And this is our vision. We want to create a structured mentorship ecosystem for all youths from 16 to 35 on how to learn tech skills. Thank you, and we'll now take your questions.
Okay, so as not to take up time, let me just take the first question. How are you planning to maintain relevance? So just to elaborate, you now think that Python is in demand. What is next? And how are you planning to remain relevant? Because you need to reach out to the community, you need to know needs and so on. So how have you budgeted that in? How are you planning to reach out and know what the needs are changing and transitioning into?
I think you have rightly pointed out that like tech moves really fast. Like once every 5 years or so, like programming languages can completely change, right? So I think this is where the sustainability portion of our idea really comes in through our advertising and affiliate models and the running of school programs for our mentorship. So we want to build like a sustainable project so that we can continuously retain mentors and continue collaborating in the future so that we can continuously update our roadmaps and refresh the content that we have. And this is where also the part where we also have a good strategy to retain the mentors that we currently have. Do you want to talk more about that?
Yeah, sure. So for mentorship-wise, we also plan to retain them through 3 main methods. So for mentors-wise, they want to come on our platform is also because of networking. So they're all tech mentors. So they want to come on board to like create more new projects or like talk about tech or share insights on what's next about tech. That's the first thing. The second thing will be about being able to showcase the skill as a mentor. Such as mentorship programs such as Kpis, mentors are really proud to be on the platform. They display it on LinkedIn, they wear their shirt, and we do expect ourselves to be charting our way towards that as well. Last but not least, mentors actually mentor the youths because of they want to see progress. They want to see young learners take on tech and actually improve. And that's how we can showcase that and make mentors stay within the ecosystem.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, thanks for this presentation. I think it's a really good idea. Just 2 questions on the potential business model for the long term. One is advertising. When do you think that can kick in? Typically, the rule is at least 100,000 users, or if not a million. And the second is, why did you pick pre-tertiary institutions of all things for your mentorship program monetization?
All right. So for the first question, when do you think we can start rolling in the advertising revenue? I would say it's by the end of this year. So out of the 10,000 roadmap users, right? This will be just the users itself, but as for impressions, we're managing to hit like 100,000 users by the end of this year. Right now, we're hitting around more than 5x, so it's like 10,000 impressions on our website already. So that's pretty good traction. So as of your second question, in terms of why pre-tertiary institutions, because that's like the most easiest way to enter the market. So we want to go to schools and ask, hey, who wants to learn tech, right? So a lot of students want to learn tech, but it's damn hard. Like they don't have the guidance. Like especially people below 25, they want to start learning tech, but they can't access to SkillsFuture courses. They can only access to online materials. And even so, if they want to access to online materials, it's damn hard. Yeah. So we provide that platform. We aggregate all the data, tell you what's the best, and then you can start learning.
Maybe I can go next. So as somebody who tried to learn Python online and gave up halfway, I think your proposal really resonates with me. But also very sad that it caters to youth up to 35, so I'm outside your target audience. But I wanted to follow up on, I think, related points, which is that, I think the problem is real. How do you pick like the right course? But what does right course means? In other words, like this course, does it give me a skill that is in demand, that's worth my while learning, right? So I didn't quite get from your presentation how you make sure that, the roadmap actually is in a way validated by employers. So related to that, I had some related questions. So like your advertising model, your revenue model allows people to advertise their products.
Correct.
Is there then a conflict of interest? Because you're trying to curate, but then, sort of you depend on advertising for your revenue, right? And if not, then how then do you curate? Are employers involved in helping you to identify what they are hiring for? And the last related question is, of course, then your KPIs. So coming from the Ministry of Manpower, we always look very hard-nosed at some of these numbers. We are interested, for example, in employment outcomes. So after training, what happened to the trainees? How do you do you try to measure what they gain from the training and the mentorship as well? Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think the time is up, so I'll just make two very quick points. The first one is, as a content aggregator versus a content creator, you may get quite a few initial impressions, but I think the larger question also is how are you going to be retaining those users? Because if you want to make this advertising revenue model and sort of the programs that you do sustainable, you need that stickiness, that retention. So rather than a user coming in and going to the roadmap and then taking a look and then leaving, how are you going to get them to come back? Because without original content, that can be quite difficult. Second quick point I'll just make is just building on what Kenny said about employment outcomes. You need to consider a few aspects of this. Number one is how does this line up with the Private Education Act in Singapore, and are you going to run foul of that? Number two, is this roadmap going to be validated, like Kenny said, by companies, but also by the professionals in the space as well, to be able to say when you reach the end of the roadmap, are you actually technically competent enough to take on the job, which I think is something to consider as well. Finally, it's just this idea that, again, the roadmaps must always be changing, and you have about quite a lot of money in your budget going towards manpower and development of some of these things, which will be quite a drain. It's a cost center for the organization, and you will need that money continuously as you try to kind of redevelop the roadmaps over time. So something to think about whether you need to get additional investment from elsewhere.
We just take the first 4 questions.
Yeah, so I know we don't really have time, so I'll just quickly answer them. About how we curate the resources. So what we do is we engage with experts and expert organizations to create them independently. And even when we have companies involved in creating them, there is always a third-party expert to make sure that there is no, the company isn't trying to mess up our roadmaps. And the final stop save is that our users actually have the ability to give feedback on our roadmaps. So if they find that a company created a roadmap that's low quality or if there's a conflict of interest, then they'll do something like downvote or give bad feedback so that we know that this roadmap is bad and we will drop it and create a better one.
Yeah.
All right, with that, thank you so much, RoadMaple. And thank you, judges, for the insightful questions and comments.